When Liam's grandfather passed away, all he inherited was a rotary phone, heavy, mustard yellow, and crusted with dust. Liam nearly toasted. No one used landlines anymore, but something made him keep it. Nostalgia, maybe, or guilt. He plugged it into the kitchen wall jar, curious if it even worked. The moment he did, the dial tone purred to life. Odd, the phone company had shut off landline service in the building months ago. He dialed his own cell. It didn't ring, not even an error tone. But when he checked the phone the next morning, the voicemail light was blinking red. That didn't make sense. The phone had no answering machine, no digital features at all. Yet, there it was, one no message. He pressed play. Liam, it's Grandpa, just calling to check in. Hope you're settling into the apartment. I left the phone for a reason. Don't ignore it, okay? Call me back. Liam stared at the phone. His grandfather had been buried for 8 days. He told himself it was a prank. Maybe someone spoofed the number. Maybe it was an old recording accidentally triggered. But the next night, another message. Liam, it's Janet from down the hall. Do you still have Lucky? He likes to sleep by the door. I can't find him. Liam's heart dropped. Janet passed away in 2021. Her dog had starved in the hallway, scratching at Liam's grandfather's door. He unplugged the phone. No more messages. Until he plugged it back in a week later, almost by accident. 6 new voicemails, all from different people, all of them dead. Some were short, confused hellos, or whispered sobbing. One was just breathing for 23 seconds. But the last one chilled him. Liam, this is Officer Diaz. I'm not sure if this is real. If I'm real, but you need to listen. The phone connects to a place between, a holding space, not heaven, not hell, just between. Some of us are stuck here. Some of us don't know they are dead. Some are trying to cross back. Be careful who you answer. Liam didn't sleep that night. He stopped plugging in the phone, left it in the hall closet, wrapped in towels. But 3 nights later, his cell phone rang at 3:12 a.m. Unknown number, no caller ID. He answered, groggy. Don't plug it in tonight. The line went dead. He checked the closet. The rotary phone's cord was hanging out, plugged into the wall again. He hadn't done that. The next voicemail changed everything. Liam, this is you. I don't have time. Something's coming through the line. It's not one of us. It's not supposed to be here. Don't answer the phone tonight. Whatever you do, don't answer it. His own voice, quieter, panicked, but unmistakable. He tried deleting the message. The light just kept blinking. That night, the phone rang. Not a voicemail, not a message, a full ringing call. Liam stared at it, frozen. It rang again and again, 9 times. On the 10th, it stopped. Silence. Then his cell phone lit up. Unknown caller. He declined it immediately. 2 seconds later, landline ringing again. No matter what he unplugged, the phone kept ringing. Finally, at 3 a.m., it stopped. But a new voicemail appeared. Liam, you shouldn't have ignored me. The voice was something halfway between a growl and a whisper. Now, I know where to find you. The next morning, his neighbor, 2 floors down, was found dead in bed. No sign of trauma, just a look of terror on her face. Her apartment had no phone lines, but someone had carved a rotary phone shape into the plaster above her bed. Liam packed the phone in a steel lockbox, drove it 20 miles out of town, and dropped it into a lake. For 2 weeks, everything was normal. Then last night, he walked into his apartment and the phone was sitting on the kitchen table, dry, intact, blinking red. One new message. His hands shook as he pressed play. I found another way through. Thank you. Then it beeped, and the message counter ticked up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Voices spilled out on the phone now, multiple at once, crying, begging, laughing. And beneath them all, one low voice that never stopped whispering, answer me. Liam doesn't sleep anymore. The phone rings every night at 3:12 a.m. Sometimes messages alert, sometimes it doesn't. Last night it didn't ring at all. Instead, his cell phone buzzed. No number, just one message. I'm here. And now, as he types this, the phone in the kitchen rings again. And this time, it's not going to stop.
The road to Hollow Ridge was barely more than 2 rods into the frost-bitten earth, winding between trees that grew too close together, as though hiding something. Nora drove in silence, her headlights casting long, twitching shadows across the trunks. It was the first time she'd returned since she was 8. She didn't remember the house well, just flashes. Her father's voice, low and unreadable. A rusted swing creaking in the wind, the scent of pine and something fainter, Sarah, beneath it. The farmhouse stood alone on a slight rise, its white paint peeled like shedding skin, its windows dark as old eyes. Still, something in Nora tugged toward it. Maybe it was nostalgia, maybe it was guilt. Her father had passed away alone, found weeks later by a mail carrier who noticed the smell. The coroner listed natural causes, but it didn't sit right with her. She didn't know why. She stepped out of the car into the cold. The key turned too easily in the lock, and the door swung open like it had been waiting. The air inside was still, not stale, just posed. She spent the first day cleaning, then called her friends, 3 of them, city-weary and amused by the idea of a haunted inheritance. By the time they arrived the next night, she had lit the fireplace and found some of her father's old scotch. They drank, told stories, laughed too loudly. For a while, the house felt alive again. Then the lights flickered. Old wiring, Nora said quickly, though her voice shook. The others nodded, though one of them, Jamie, kept glancing toward the hallway. Later that night, as the fire died down, they all went to bed. Nora took her father's room, though it made her uneasy. The bed felt too soft, like it remembered someone heavier. The mirror across from her showed her reflection at a slight delay, which she blamed on her imagination. She woke around 2 a.m. to footsteps above her, but there was no second floor. The next morning, Jamie was gone. His bed hadn't been slept in. His boots were still at the door. They searched the property, yelling his name. Nora's friends wanted to call the police, but there was no signal. It's probably a prank, she said. Jamie always joked about ghosts. He would come back laughing. But her voice lacked conviction. By nightfall, the mood had changed. The house felt colder. The mirrors no longer reflected properly. Faces turned slightly, eyes blinking out of rhythm. That night, another friend, Rachel, woke to a lullaby being hummed beneath her window. When she opened it, she found tiny footprints in the frost, circling the house. The next morning, Rachel was gone too. Only Nora and Clara remained. Clara wanted to leave. Nora didn't. I just, I don't think it's letting us, she whispered. What? Nothing. Clara backed away slowly, her expression wary. That night, Clara locked her bedroom and pushed a dresser in front of the door. It didn't help. She woke to Nora standing in the corner. I remembered something. Nora said, voice barely a whisper. Clara stared. What? I died here. Silence. Just the wind outside and the crack of settling wood. Nora smiled faintly, almost lovingly. It was an incident. I fell down the stairs when I was 8. My father buried me in the woods behind the house, but he loved me so much he couldn't let me go. Clara stood, heart hammering. I came back, Nora whispered. But something else came back with me, and then she was gone. The door creaked open slowly, though Clara never touched it. When the police finally arrived 2 days later, they found a single woman wandering the woods, pale, barefoot, and silent. She said her name was Nora. There was no record of the woman who called herself Clara. There never had been. And beneath the frost in the backyard, police uncovered the tiny bones of a girl buried decades ago under a tree that had grown strangely twisted. Nora had died as a child in the house, and something, either grief, dark love, or something much older, brought her back. But whatever returned was never fully human. The Nora who inherited the house was a vessel, a haunting in flesh, and those who entered were consumed, absorbed to sustain her borrowed life. The house doesn't let the living live because none of them are truly alive.
Emma and Jane had always dreamed of owning a home of their own. When they found the Victorian fixer-upper on Maple Street, they were instantly smitten with its squeaky floors and faded charm. The house was a project, a labor of love that would take months, maybe years to restore. But they didn't mind. Every creak, every crack was a story waiting to be told. The first few weeks flew by. They stripped peeling wallpaper, sanded the oak floors, and patched holes in the drywall. One afternoon, Emma was walking in the guest bedroom, tearing down an old closet wall when something caught her eye. Hidden in the hollow between two wall studs was a small, dust-covered cassette tape. It was stuck behind the plaster, wedged tight. The label was torn, but on the casing, someone had scrawled a warning in faded ink. Play only if you hear scratching. Emma laughed, showing Jake the tape later that day. What do you think? A prank from the last owner? Jake shrugged. Probably. Or maybe some kind of weird joke. Who even uses cassette tapes anymore? They tossed the tape onto a shelf in the living room and continued their work. That night, as the house settled, Emma was lying awake, staring at the ceiling. It was then she heard it. A faint, almost imperceptible scratching sound, like nails on wood, coming from somewhere deep within the walls. She sat up, heart thumping. Jake, do you hear that? He frowned, listening. The scratching stopped as suddenly as it had started. Probably just the house settling, Jake said, reaching for her hand. Old houses make weird noises. But Emma wasn't convinced. The next day, Emma brought the tape down from the shelf. She dusted it off and found her old cassette player in the attic. It was bulky and outdated, but it still worked. Jake looked at her curiously. You are really going to play it? I want to know what's on it, Emma said, almost whispering. As the tape whirred to life, a crackling voice filled the room. If you hear scratching, don't stop. Keep listening. Static burst louder. Then, beneath it, faint scratching sound. Soft, deliberate, almost close scraping against plaster. Emma's skin prickled. This is creepy. Jake nodded, leaning in. Suddenly, the scratching on the tape matched exactly the scratching coming from inside the walls. Emma froze. The voice whispered again, urgent and raspy. Let me out. I'm waiting. Play the tape. Hear me. Emma stopped the tape. What the hell was that? Jake frowned. I don't know, but it sounds like something wants out. Over the next few nights, the scratching grew louder, not just inside the walls anymore. It echoed through the hallways, sometimes in the basement. Emma felt a cold presence, like eyes watching her from the dark corners. One evening, as Jake was finishing up some wiring in the basement, the lights flickered. The scratching started again, loud, frantic, directly behind the wall where they'd found the tape. Jake grabbed the hammer, determined to find the source. He smashed through the plaster. Behind it was only empty space, except for the cassette tape, still wedged in the wall. Emma stared in horror. We have to get rid of this, she said, voice trembling. Jake agreed, and they threw the tape in the fire pit out back, watching as the plastic melted and the reel snapped. For a night, there was silence. But then, as they tried to sleep, the scratching returned. This time, not from the walls, but from the hallway outside their bedroom door. Emma's breath caught as the doorknob slowly began to turn. The tape wasn't a warning, they realized. It was an invitation, and by playing it, they had answered. The scratching turned to rapping, sharp, heavy knocks. A shadow moved on the crack of the door. Jake grabbed a baseball bat. Emma whispered, Who is there? What do you want? No answer. Only the door creaked open, inch by inch. And then the hallway was empty. They looked at each other, terrified. In the morning, the drywall in the guest bedroom was shattered, as if something had clawed its way through it. The tape was nowhere to be found, but the scratching never stopped.